Welcome everyone to the English revision lecture of week 7. So we will be just revising whatever about the lectures that have happened in the week 7 in a short thing. So, the first concept we are going to see is about subject verb agreement. So, what is subject verb agreement? That is so simple, like subjects and verb must agree with one another in number. That is, singular subject should have singular verb and plural subject should have plural verbs. But the way subjects forms singular and the verbs form singular is different. So, for example, let's see the first example. The dog chases the cat. So, in this, you won't see singular is dog. So, dog is singular here, we don't add any yes to the sentence. Whereas, if we see the verb chases, so for the verb in singular form, we will be adding yes to the verb. So to make it singular. So if we see the example, the dog chases the cat. Here in singular form of noun, it yes minus is the singular, whereas in singular form of verb, yes plus is the singular. So again, if we see the plural form, the dogs chase the cat. So if we see this, dogs is the plural in subject, whereas chase is the plural in the verb. So the subject and verb must agree with each other in form of number. That is, singular subject should have singular verb and plural subject should have plural verbs. So this is the first concept. The second one is negotiation. So a negotiation is simply like negative of the sentence. If you are saying I am going to England, the negative of the sentence is the negotiation of the sentence. Like I am not going to England. So basically, these negotiation sentence are sentence that typically that are false or they need not to be like true or something. It's like it's like the speaker is saying no, that is not happening. No, no. Just for answering no, you are going to say it as a sentence. So those sentences are called as negotiation. So if you are given a verb, then how to change it as negotiation sentence. For example, if a person is saying, I am flying to England, so you have to change this to negotiation sentence. So you need to add not after the verb. Like, I am flying to England, then I am not flying to England. You can add not behind the verb to make it as a not behind the auxiliary verb to make it as a negotiation sentence. So let's see the last example. He doesn't have to commute to work. So here the verb is commute. Here does. He does have to commute to work. So like he does have to commute to work. So what does the normal sentence say is he have to travel to go to work. He does have to commute to work. So if you want to change it into negotiation sentence, we have to add not. So he doesn't have to commute to work. So the words here like isn't, wasn't, don't, doesn't. So everything is like adding a past, adding not to it. Like is plus not comes isn't. Was plus not comes wasn't. Do plus not comes don't. Does plus not comes doesn't. So like it's a short form of writing, but the either way is correct. If you write is not also is right, but isn't is also right. So it completely depends upon your wish. So negotiation is saying that this thing is not true. So those are negotiation sentence, and like you can see the examples here. Next thing is person table. So we have to look after this person table very carefully. Like if the subject is first person, the first person singular is I, the second person singular is you, third person singular implies this, that, he, she, it. Everything comes in third person singular. So the first person means you are saying about yourself, and the second person means you are saying about the person who is opposite to you. Whereas third person says about someone third person who whom doesn't have any relation to you or not in the conversation. So coming to plural, we are having we in the first person plural. You in the second person plural, those, these, they, pens, etc. These are third person plural. So this is the person table, and it is important for you to remember this. So, direct and indirect objects. So, direct objects answer the question whom or what. Indirect question answer the question to whom, for what, for whom. For example, like let's read the first example. She sent her friend an email. So, we will just ask the question whom or what. She sent her friend what? What did she send her friend? Email. So here, email is the direct object. If you are reading the last example, he gave them a bag full of money. So we have to find the object with respect to them. So he gave them for whom? For what? Like that. Or like he gave them what? A bag full of money. So that is a direct object. So where did you put the keys? So where did you put the keys? So where did you put the keys? Where? You are asking the question you what did you do? So for what? So the answer is indirect object. So by this way you can find direct and indirect objects. Transitive and intransitive verb. So a transitive verb makes sense only when there is an object, whereas intransitive verb doesn't need an object. So there are many examples for transitive and intransitive verb as you can refer here. Mostly intransitive verbs are ending in ing form and be the last in the sentence. But there are some verbs that could be like transitive or intransitive. For example, like we can see the last example, I ate meat. So asking the question, what did you eat? So I ate meat. So the answer comes as meat. So there is an object here. So ate here is transitive verb, whereas it's present tense. I eat at 7 o'clock. So I eat at 7 o'clock. It doesn't it doesn't says about like what did you eat. So it doesn't say about that. So the correct it is an intransitive verb. So a verb could also be used as transitive or intransitive depending upon its position. So, generally, intransitive verb ends with ing and at the last, but in rare cases, it could be like this also. The next one is the verb be. So the verb be is an auxiliary verb which is also used as main verb. So it has 8 different forms: be, am, is, are, was, were, been. So these are the different forms, and if you see these words in any sentence, and you can make sure that these are auxiliary verbs and are form of be. So be in the present participle form is being. He is being very helpful these days. And being in the past participle sentence is been. We have been ready for an hour. Will and shall. When will you talk about future, you use these kinds of words. Will and shall are easiest to use to say about the future. So in modern English, we will be using will only for affirmative and negative sentences, whereas we use shall to say with questions that are related to us, related to in the first person thing. Here are some examples, but you can use everything like will or shall could be used equally in the past and future tense. Phrases and idioms. So, what is phrase? Phrase is a small group of words standing together to give a meaning. It is usually a component of a clause. So, there are different type of phrases: noun phrases, verb phrases, prepositional phrases, adverb phrases, and adjective phrases. So, here is a table given with a sentence: He is jumping over the very lazy dog as fast as possible. So here, he is the noun phrase, is jumping is the verb phrase, over the very lazy dog is the prepositional phrase, as fast as possible is the adverb phrase, very lazy. So what it is referring to as very lazy, the dog, which is a noun here. So it is an adjective phrase, the very lazy dog. It is representing about the dog. So it is a noun phrase. So by which you can understand about the phrases, I think. And idioms are a group of words that doesn't have a meaning that is related to what we are talking about, but conveys a thing that is similar to it. For idioms, you can like refer to the lecture video. Like there are a lot of examples given, and you can just remember it and use it accordingly. Thank you.